Recently, I read the book How I Made $2 Million in the Stock Market by Nicolas Darvas. In this book, the author shares his journey as an investor, his learnings, and how he made $2 million in the stock market. It's an amazing book, and I'll highly recommend it to everyone from beginners to experienced investors. One can learn many things from the author's journey. In this video, I want to share things I found interesting that made me change how I invest. Before I dive into what I learned after reading the book, let me share how Mr. Darvas made a fortune in the stock market. Mr. Darvas religiously followed 4 simple principles to identify which stocks to buy and when to sell them. First principle was box theory. Observe stocks that have a certain volume increase and are moving up from one price range or box to another. Second principle was to be a fundamentalist. He understood that stock price follows a company's earnings. Therefore, on top of positive stock price movement, it can be potential buy opportunity if the company is fundamentally strong. Third principle was stop loss. As long as stock moves from one box to another, do not sell it. Instead, keep moving the stop loss with the stock price. Fourth and last principle was no outside noise. Mr. Darvas made it a point not to read any news or expert's opinion. In his view, news and opinions are pointless and will trick him into making a decision he will regret. According to him, no one knows what will happen in the future, and hence it is of no use to read an opinion. Using these 4 principles, the author identified the stocks he wanted to buy. He bought as much as he could and then waited until the stock hits its trailing stop loss. The author's idea is to buy high and sell even higher. Let me now share my learnings after reading the book. My first learning was read as much as you can. In the book, the author mentions that he has read so much about investing that he has reached a point where he is alone now. There is no book left that he can read to learn something new about investing or ask someone for investing advice. So instead, he has to come up with a way to be successful in the stock market by himself. It is similar to when a top athlete has no one to compete with but himself. Therefore, my learning from all of this is to read as much as I can about investing and money until I reach that stage. Second lesson I learned was to never give up. The author made series of bad trades and mistakes for several years. However, he never gave up and persevered in learning and trying new ideas continuously. Hence, never give up, keep learning, and be courageous to experiment. Third lesson I learned after reading the book reaffirmed the importance of having a system. I strongly believe in having a system, as investing is not a science that follows laws or logic. Investing is less math and more psychology. The book reaffirmed my belief in having a system. A system is created keeping investors' weaknesses and goals in mind. The system forms guardrails which does not allow the investor to take steps influenced by his emotions. Famous writer Voltaire once said, "History never repeats itself, man always does." Therefore, create a system and follow it to protect you from yourself. Fourth lesson I learned is, if you found a good stock, buy as much of it as you can. Throughout the journey, the author owned only 2 to 4 stocks at any point in time. Not only that, the author pooled in all his money set aside for investing in the stock he believes in. In short, the author was not a big fan of diversification. Fifth and last lesson I learned was, no one knows the future. As an investor, we spend a lot of time and effort trying to predict the future. First, we need to accept that no one knows the future, and it is futile to predict it. Once that is accepted, an investor can focus on learning and creating a system to succeed. I have also created a video where I have shared how I created my system. Watch that video. I'm sure it will help you in creating yours. I hope you learned something new after watching this video. If you did learn something, then help Master Investment grow by sharing with your friends. Thanks for watching. See you next time.